Hey, good evening, folks. I know it's kind of dark. I'm on my evening walk. I wanted to share something. First of all, check out that moon. Anyway, I saw this video on TikTok. This little boy, young kid, maybe, I don't know. I think it said teenager, but if he was a teenager, he was low teens. You know, looked actually about like anywhere from 9 to 13 maybe. Anyway, he had some kind of skateboarding accident. It wasn't specific, but the video was him waking up in the hospital. He must have had an operation because he's under anesthesia, right? And he's kind of coming out of it, kind of like those dentist videos, you know, when they're kind of drunk. And you can hear the mom and the nurses in the room or whatever. But here's the thing, the kid, he looks up and you can see his eyes are focused on something, okay? And he says, "Oh, Jesus, hi, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, you're so beautiful." And he has tears rolling down his cheek. His eyes are watering, right? And it's some of the things he's saying. He says, "Oh, heaven is so beautiful." And it's like he's looking around. And he says, "There's so many flowers and there's so many butterflies." And now some may say, "Hey, you know, that happens when people are, you know, under drugs or anesthesia, you know, they hallucinate." But it's just some of the things this kid's saying. And also the attitude of the kid, like he's very repentant. He's like apologetic. He's like saying, I'm sorry for treating my mother bad. I'm sorry for being a bad kid." He says that. And you can hear the mom in the room say, "You're not a bad kid." And she's kind of laughing. But you know, that's what it will be like. You know, no matter when we're in the presence of him, right? We'll feel every shortcoming. We'll feel, no matter how minuscule it may seem, we'll feel that. And I think we'll have that, you know, unworthiness, that repentance. And he was saying, "I'll do better, you know, I'll promise to do better." But here's what got me, and I have chills. I'd show you if I could. But he says, "Oh, hi, Dad." And now you can hear the mom in the room say, "Oh, his dad passed a few years ago," or whatever. And he says, "Oh, Dad, you look so beautiful." Same thing he had said about Jesus, right? Now here's the thing, as a young boy especially, it's kind of odd to say about your dad, "You're beautiful." You know, that's something you would say about a flower or the butterflies, right? That's beautiful, but it's not a masculine terminology. But here's what hit with me. He says about his dad, he says, "Oh, Dad, you know, hi, Dad, you're so beautiful." And he says, your muscles look bigger." Anyway, now I don't know how his dad died. It doesn't say that. But what hit for me, and I haven't shared this with anybody except my very close family members, but my dad passed a few years ago of cancer. He had a battle with cancer. And you know, there towards the end, you're not able to eat, you know, and he got skinnier and skinnier, you know, it just takes everything from you. And I always saw my dad as a strong man, you know. He was always active, and he just, you know, he was always a strong man. Well, I would always try to talk to my dad about the Lord. He was a very man's man, you know, very private about that kind of stuff. But I would always share any chance I got, because I wanted to gauge his spiritual barometer, right? I wanted to have certainty. And I even got him a Bible one time, you know, and I don't even know if he ever read out of it. I hope he did. But anyway, whenever he passed, I was, let me say this. What gave me hope there towards the end, the doctors had given him, you know, couple months, I think it was. But he had this picture of Jesus, you know, like the classic American portrait of Jesus you see. He had that on his wall, and he pointed to it, and he said, "I don't care what the doctors say, my days are in his hands." And he said it so boldly, man, and I was like, man, it made me feel so good, right? To hear that faith. Yes, that's right, you know? And he did have much longer than what the doctors had prescribed or whatever. But anyway, once he went, man, I had so much grief, you know? Not only from losing him, but I had this uncertainty, you know? I wasn't sure of his salvation, you know? And I remember crying out to the Lord so desperately. And I know I was apologetic, and I was like, Lord, I know we're not supposed to want answers or, you know, proof, quote unquote. But I was like, man, if you could just give me something to have peace, you know, that he's there with you, that he's safe, you know, that I'll see him again. And I had this vivid dream. I've never had another one like it. Some may say it's happenstance, but I'm going to run with it. Because it was after that prayer, after that desperation. And I saw my dad in this dream, and he was like radiant. He was glowing, right? Kind of like they say about pregnant women or whatever. He just, you know, his skin, he just looks beautiful. And I even commented in the dream, I said, Dad, oh man, you look great, you know? I didn't say beautiful, but I did comment, and I said, man, you look like you've been working out. I said, you're fit, your muscles, you know, you're muscular. Because like I said there at the end, you know, he was just like a Holocaust patient, you know, skin and bones. And it's like I was seeing him in his glorified body, and it was beautiful. And that's the only words we shared, you know. But afterwards, I knew that was from the Lord, you know, giving me something to have peace. And I have ever since. I know that's really personal. I'm not all about spilling personal stuff, but when I saw that testimony, when I saw that little boy, I'm telling you, it was like, that resonated with me because that was like so similar. And I just wanted to brag about the Lord, really, in all this. That's what it's about. His faithfulness, you know, you just cry out to him in his mercy, and he's good, and he'll hear you, and he'll answer one way or another.